While creating the demonstration videos for version 2.6, I found out, like many of you did, that some prompts were loading in codex entries that were not filled out yet or did not hold the latest story idea or plot outline. That's because during the conversion to the new prompting system that was released in May, while I was consolidating prompts into the mega prompts, I got the sequence of the prompts out of order. The solution was to rename 4 of the mega prompts and the codex entries they called in. Minor changes, but a single change requires a full reinstall of the mega prompt. And I hate having to tell you to reinstall prompts and codex entries as much as you hate having to remove the existing prompts to install the new version. Knowing I would surely run into more issues while creating the walkthrough videos, I decided it was better to delay the rollout of 2.7 and the videos by implementing big changes instead of multiple major and minor version changes. Now, for a while, I had been making a list of big changes, really big changes I wanted to make for version 3.0 of the Paint by Numbers system, and decided to make those in 2.7 instead. The decision was also made based on Novelcrafter hiring additional people in June, leading to an increasing number of discussions about development of the Prompt Hub. I'm hopeful we'll get the Prompt Hub by the end of the summer, and that I never have to release a new version of Part 2 of the PBN guide again. The new hires have also led to talk that import and export functionality will see improvements in the future. For technical reasons, we still should not expect the ability to export an entire novel project and then import it back into Novelcrafter. But I am hoping that import and export of codex entries is high on the list, so that Part 1 of the guide becomes a user manual without all the instructions for creating dozens of codex entries. For the last 5 months, I've been building a library of writing resources in Google's Notebook LM. I recently spent a full week finishing that project so I could distill all the collected knowledge into new and/or improved instructions, guidance, and examples for the AI. For some prompts, it only meant adding 3 or 4 lines to the prompt, but the difference in functionality was evolutionary. Speaking of evolutionary, in the last 3 months, I have learned a lot about how to use the still undocumented prompt commands from Novelcrafter staffer Cat Tim, otherwise known as the Real Cat on YouTube live streams, and from some other Novelcrafter prompt creators. In particular, a subplot creation prompt by Miss Lemony Pickles. I have included in version 2.7. That prompt showed me how to make the prompts work less like a chat prompt and more like a wizard. All of this resulted in a release that has me really excited because I think you're going to see a massive improvement in the brainstorming and planning results the AI provides. As part of the work on the prompt improvements, I have added 2 more commands you can give the AI. Finally, I want to provide some guidance on handling duplication of prompt components when you install the updated version of the Paint by Numbers system. Another rule I've given myself for deciding when to release a new version is when the changelog entries fill an entire page in Word. This is the culmination of 2 months of revising old prompts and creating new ones to roll out big changes instead of the small ones. And I feel confident you will find this version worthy of the effort to install and maybe even redo the brainstorming and planning of your existing projects just to see how much better the results are. As I mentioned in the intro, I have been using Google's Notebook LM to combine my library of ebooks on the craft of writing, as well as web pages and hundreds of YouTube videos and podcasts, into repositories focused on a single writing craft topic like scenes, character voice, and world building. When I added Perplexity AI to the mix, not only did I get a long list of additional online resources to pull in, but a roadmap for what information and guidance to give the AI so it produces better results with actionable steps rather than statements like, make each character voice unique, which is such a vague and open-ended statement that obscures the actual process that it's the equivalent of telling somebody, fly to the moon by building your own rocket ship. In Part 2 of the guide, you will notice multiple pages of new and revised prompt components, to include one specifically for creating unique character voices. For brainstorming and planning tasks like world building, there are easily a dozen aspects of a speculative fiction world to create. And no one wants to run dozens of prompts to create everything, so the impulse is to cram everything into a single prompt. This leads to two significant problems. The first is that AI gets lazy if you give it too many instructions, so it skips steps and takes other shortcuts. The other problem is when the prompt doesn't work, it's a nightmare to troubleshoot. The solution is to break the entire process into smaller tasks for the user and the AI, which requires buttons, menus, and a bunch of computer logic. Now, I'm not a programmer or a software developer, but I know just enough to be able to reverse engineer or brute force a solution if I know what the commands and functions in Novelcrafter do. So I asked a lot of noob questions on Discord, and I've deconstructed every custom prompt I can find. And I'm hoping that you'll find the prompts like the world building one as easy to use as doing a paint by numbers picture. While not intended to compete with the likes of World Anvil, the world building wizard prompt covers enough of the foundational elements of a fictional world to create that iceberg of information that makes the 10% you reveal to readers feel like a living, breathing world with hidden complexity. And the way I tackled this was to gather dozens of questions, suggestions, and keywords on each world-building topic, and then have the AI use all of it to generate 4 questions for you to answer. If you want to keep exploring the topic or subtopic, you give the AI the new keyword, quiz me, and it will generate 4 additional questions. See that right here, where it mentions type quiz me for a new set of questions. Although the quiz me command was implemented for the world building wizard, I went ahead and tested it on some other prompts and found that it adds more tutorial functionality. In one case, the AI generated 4 multiple choice questions out of thin air about what it was I was brainstorming. The troubleshoot command I added to help me figure out why some models of AI interpret instructions differently, and I also wanted the AI to let me know when I was providing unnecessary information and guidance so I could remove it and give the AI less to think about. This command also has an unintended side effect of acting like a mini drunk Claude and telling you where the details you're providing it could be improved. So it doesn't just troubleshoot the prompt itself, it prompts whatever information you fed it, whether that's manually from the chat prompt or the chat window or through a codex or snippet entry. Novelcrafter doesn't check to see if a prompt or prompt component with the same name already exists when you do a copy from clipboard import. The simple fix for custom prompts is to include version information in the name. However, that does not work for prompt components because the name is part of the include function call. If you change the name in any way, any prompts that call that prompt component then won't be able to find it. So there are 2 ways to determine which prompt component is the newest one. The first way is that clones and newly imported components are listed below the original component in the order they were created. So in this example, I cloned the component, making that the second one in the list. I then copied it from the clipboard, creating the third one in the list. Rather than assume that this won't change, I have started to include a version number and date at the top of the instructions of new and updated prompt components. So if there's ever any confusion in the future, you can just look in the instructions and you can compare the version numbers and the dates. That's going to wrap it up for this video. You will find the 2.7 version of the guide on the website and the remainder of the brainstorming and planning walkthrough videos on this YouTube channel. If you have any questions, I highly recommend joining the Novelcrafter Discord. Thanks for watching and keep writing. Future readers are waiting for your stories.